Hari Hari Om Tatsat. Hari Om Tatsat. Jai Guru. Shuddho Buddho Vimuktaha Shrudi Shikharagiram Mukhyatat Paryabhumi Yasmajjatam Samastam Jagadidam Amrutad Vyapya Sarvam Sthito Yaha Yasyam Sham Shabataraihi Suranaravanajayir Rakshitam Sarvametad Tam Bhoomanam Mukundam Hridigatam Amalam Krishnameva Prapadye Tam Bhoomanam Mukundam Hridigatam Amalam Krishnameva Prapadye Madhya Hridaya Kashe Sadanandamayo Guru Udetu Satatam Samyak Swatmananda Prabodhakaha. Harihi, Harihi, Harihi Om Tatsat. Jai Guru. As usual, we shall have chorus recitation of Omkara 3 times. While reciting, needless to say, all of you should deliberately think that the recitation should spread the entire globe, showering its benedictions on all the creatures and beings upon the earth. Harihi, Harihi. Interlock your fingers, put them on your lap. Sit comfortably erect. Close your eyes. Open the mouth and heart and join me. Hari, Hari. Verse number 7 of the 2nd chapter. Karpanya dosho bahata svabhavaha.
Karpanya dosho bahata svabhavaha.
Karpanya dosho bahata svabhavaha.
Karpanya dosho bahata svabhavaha.
Prichhami tvam.
Prichhami tvam.
Dharma sammudha cheta.
Dharma sammudha cheta.
Yashreyasyaad.
Yashreyasyaad.
Nishchitam bruhi tanme.
Nishchitam bruhi tanme.
Shishyasteham.
Shishyasteham.
Shadhimam.
Shadhimam.
Tvam prapannam.
Tvam prapannam.
Shishyasteham.
Shishyasteham.
Shadhimam.
Shadhimam.
Tvam prapannam.
Tvam prapannam.
You already know well that the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita is entirely given to activity and interaction. Explaining repeatedly that The world is full of activity. We say this world is karma sankula. It is full of activity. The earth is constantly revolving on its own axis and also going around the sun. The sun also will be circumambulating or revolving. Nothing is there stationary in this world. Look at a minute atom or even smaller particle. Look at the huge planets. All of them are in a state of cyclic motion. What about our heart, lungs, every organ in the body? Can you think of a still body? Suppose the heart stops its pulsation, beating. 1 or 2 beats, then what happens? The same applies to every organ of the body as a whole. So never speak against activity at all. We have only 2 states, as I repeatedly say. I want to emphasize it over and over again. Either you are wakeful or you are asleep. From sleep you wake up, and from wakefulness you go to sleep. Either you are active or you have to be asleep. Tell me now whether you would like to forego your activity and remain constantly asleep. So never speak against activity. Even without Bhagavad Gita, philosophy, spirituality and the like, the fact is that for about 8 hours of the day we are still and inactive, and 16 hours of the day we are up, active and vibrant. So where is the question of total inactivity? Maximum one can think about it. In thought anything is possible, imagination is like that, wild. But in actual fact it is impossible. Suppose you eat and drink, it will build up energy in the system. That energy has to be utilized, and activity and interaction are the only means of spending or utilizing energy. Why so much of emphasis? Krishna repeatedly explains. Because Arjuna wanted to abandon the war and abandon the battlefield. Even after 13 years of preparation, he had made to come to the battlefield and fight the unprecedented war. Can you imagine? Arjuna was not to abandon. He only thought and said, I will abandon. Saying anything can be done. To follow up the statement in actual practice, that is something entirely different. Arjuna was told very clearly about the need for activity, etc. And Krishna revealed that the activity is taking place only up to a certain level in our personality. We have got the body. The body is animated and activated by the mind. The mind is directed by the intelligence. Ego is coordinating all these activities. In these levels alone, one remains active. But there is something still beyond, where what you call I is located or identified. In that level, the level of the I, like the pith of a tree, no activity ever commences from there, and no effect befalls also. This is called the self level, the soul level. And that soul is unborn, undying, unborn and undying. Can it be active then? It is imperishable, indestructible. It is immovable. It cannot be acted upon by solid substances like the earth. No. It cannot be acted upon by water. It cannot be acted upon by air, by fire, by space. Nothing. This truth he explained. Even this war is only up to the level of the ego, in the bodily level, mental level, intellectual level, and in the ego level. But beyond that, where your real identity is the I, no fight, no action, no killing, no death, no extinction. With that knowledge, how to remain active in this world, that was the Karma Yoga proposition. That also Krishna explained. Krishna explained what is that yoga state. Then Arjuna asked him, what is that yoga sthiti, sthita prajna state? What is meant by sthitadhi? What is the difference between the two? How to live and move in this world with spiritual wisdom and realization. All this was answered in the third portion of Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. Then Arjuna came up with a question. Jayasi ched karmanaste mada buddhir janardana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. That is how this chapter was born. It was a sequel to what Arjuna raised in the form of a question. Krishna indicated that a man totally ripe for jnana nishtha will not wait to become active. He will simply leave the world of activity, maybe seek solitude. There also he is not totally inactive. He will read, he will listen to, he will contemplate, he may take pranayama or such other practices. He may not do gross, ordinary, secular activities intended to bring about different objectives, results and fruitions. That he may not do. So that jnana-nishtha is very great and supreme. If that is so, my dear Krishna, why are you asking me to enter into this bloody war? What is war? Always bloodshed, bloodshed, bloodshed. When that question was raised, Krishna had to answer him. So the whole of the chapter is devoted to how a man has to remain active and how activity becomes essential, indispensable, corollary and complementary to many things of life. He is presenting a number of propositions and arguments. And at one time he said, in verse number 22, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu logeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam vartaye vacha karmani. My dear Arjuna, I have nothing to attain in this world or in the other worlds. There is nothing for me to gain which I have not gained so far. Even then I remain active. Do you know why? Do you know why? Inactivity, idleness or stillness should not become an example or model for anybody here. Spirituality is supposed to be the zenith of propriety, the zenith of righteousness, the zenith of fullness of human life. That should not be an example or a model for the others to remain inactive and still. So he says, Yadi hyaham navarteyam jadu karmanyatandritaha mama vatma anuvartande manushyaha partha sarvajaha. All of you recite. Yadi hyaham navarteyam.
Yadi hyaham navarteyam.
Yadi hyaham.
Hyaham.
Ha plus ya. Ha, ya, hya. Hya. Look at my mouth.
Hya.
Hya. Yadi hyaham.
Yadi hyaham.
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 Yadi hyaham navarteyam.
Yadi hyaham navarteyam.
Jatu karmanyatandritaha.
Jatu karmanyatandritaha.
Jatu.
Jatu.
Karmani.
Karmani.
Atandritaha.
Atandritaha.
Jatu karmanyatandritaha.
Jatu karmanyatandritaha.
Mama vartmanuvartante.
Mama vartmanuvartante.
Mama vartma.
Mama vartma.
Vartma. Vartma. Ta and ma. Mama vartma.
Mama vartma.
Anuvartante.
Anuvartante.
Manushyaha.
Manushyaha
Partha Sarvashaha.
Partha Sarvashaha.
Now recite line by line. Yadihyaham navarteyam
Yadihyaham navarteyam
Jatu karmanyatandritaha
Jatu karmanyatandritaha
Mama vartmanuvartande
Mama vartmanuvartante
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
You will find here how deep, how wholesome, how lofty, how magnificent and comprehensive our thought process on any subject whatsoever. This is characteristic of India, this holy land and the holy people here. See, yadi hyaham navarteyam jatu karmanya tandridaha. Suppose I remain indifferent to activity because I have nothing to gain and nothing to lose. I am a fulfilled person. I have my dwarga, my palace. I can sit there comfortably without taking any interest in any of the world facets. Suppose I do so, then what will happen? See, Krishna, the great Mahatma, sitting in Dwaraka, he was only enjoying life, simply remaining quiet, not at all interested in anything the world requires to be done or acted upon. I don't want this kind of an example to be set. None should copy me in a wrong manner. Though I have nothing to attain, I have nothing to get, nothing to lose, I am a fulfilled person, I should still remain active in this world for all others to understand that activity is a corollary of life, it is indispensable in human life. 16 hours of the day, what will you do except wakefully active? You can take rest only maximum 8 hours. You know, for our Maharajas, 4 hours of sleep alone are prescribed, not 8 hours. 4 hours. The 20 hours they are doing work for the palace, look after the palace and manage state affairs, talk to ministers, meet the people, spies and the others who have been sent out. He will have no time. Take his own personal body interest, taking bath, feeding and all that. Only 4 hours he could sleep. So activity is the nature and way of everyone. Suppose you are old, your activity may be reduced, that's all. You will do such activity which is suitable to and co-existential with your age. So, yadi hyaham navarteyam jatu karmanya tandridaha. If I am not devoted to timely and effective activity, mama vartma anuvartande. This idle way of life will be copied by the others. You know, there is something called gata anugatatva. Gata anugatatva. If one person walks in a certain direction, others who come by just will follow. So following people, the followers are more in humanity than leaders, thinkers, evaluators. So people are more for following. See how many political parties are there in India. Any ideology, if you can vociferously present, you will find there will be some people to follow you. They want to follow and they want to get hold of somebody to follow. Mama vartmanu vartande manushya partha sarvasha. Seeing me inactive, all the people around will start following inactivity. This is not the purpose of human life. We should be far more productive than non-humans in this world. If you take X quantum from the world, you should be able to return to the world X plus or X multiplied. You think of a tree, a coconut tree. The extent of cultural operations, fertilizing, cleaning, watering, etc., looking after the tree, whatever money is spent, the return it gives should be sufficiently more. I cannot say how much it should be, at least double or 3 times. When agriculturists are not able to get sufficient returns, then the whole country will collapse. The law of the world is such that everyone will have to be productive. The housewife also is productive. The priests in the temples, they are also productive. Even the beggar is productive, I think. Everyone is productive, contributing to productivity. And it's all through activity, not by keeping quiet. Mama vartmanu vartande manushya partha sarvashaha. Whatever I said as an example, all the people around will follow me. I don't want to be a misleader. I want to be an ideal example which will remain an ideal forever in humanity. That is the idea which motivates me, my dear Arjuna. Utsideyurime loka na kuryam karma jedaham sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyam imamah prajaha. These are very, very serious statements. It takes you to a plane, a perception, which is far beyond what ordinary people have. Utsideyurime lokaha na kuryam karma jedaham. I don't know whether you are with me. Utsideyurime lokaha na kuryam karma jedaham. This is verse number 24. Utsideyuhu. It's a very, very strong word. Very strong word. The whole world, the human society will perish. I don't know whether you understand the gravity. If all people become idle, the farmers become idle, the traders become idle, the drivers and conductors become idle, the merchants become idle, they don't open their shops in time, close them in time. Can you imagine what will be the standstill it will produce? Everything is moving around like a clock. Everybody should come to the office at the fixed time. They should go away also, fixed time. If there is extra work, they will have to come extra hours and finish the work. I have a disciple. He was a senior official in State Bank of India. One day I asked interesting questions, enlightening questions also. Mr. X, can you tell me something very important and spectacular that has taken place in your official life? He said, I can tell you 2 items. The first item was, working in a bank, one day they found instead of debit, they had entered credits. And quite a number of accounts all foreign, America. It was discovered very late. Almost the office was about to be closed or just at the point of closing. He heads the whole branch. He said, what can be done now? People had already gone. He alerted them, called them. Somehow or other we have to work and reverse the entries before the day breaks. You know, all people responded. They came, he says. And they started sitting there, working. And before the day broke, they finished the whole thing. Just imagine how much work is important. Sometimes you will have to forgo your sleep. Such a huge mistake for a bank. How will you repair it? But they were able to do it. He said, this kind of tenacity, readiness to respond to a crisis, willingly, is something very rare. I was very happy, he said. What do you say? I don't know whether I should tell you this. This Bhagavad Gita transpired in the Kurukshetra battlefield. This Kurukshetra is called Dharmakshetra. The legend is that Kuru, the ancestor of the dynasty, it's called the Kuru dynasty. He had done prolonged austerity in that area. That is why it has become Dharmakshetra. But there are others who say that is not the reason. Kurukshetra is a large area. There are paddy fields also there. In the rainy season, they get flooded. Suppose the flooding is too much, the whole crop will be destroyed. Breaches also will take place. Once it so happened that enough excessive rain was there. So one farmer went there and he was finding that the water was rising. And one portion was about to breach. So he was trying to handle it. He did not return in time. So the wife had taken his liquid food for him. And she also had a little baby on her hip. She went there. She waited for some time. Why don't you take, how long will you work without taking food? Please take your food. How can I take my food? Will you guarantee that this will not breach? As I am trying to save the breach, will you do it? Then I shall take the gruel that you have brought. She said yes. And she took the spade from the husband. She had the child on her hip and she started replacing him. Meanwhile, the water was rising and he was sipping his food. At one point, it so happened that it was about to burst. She took the child from the hip, put it there and stepped over the child to save the breach. This is why that place is called Dharmakshetra, is another legend. What do you think of India? What do you think of India, you tell me? Maybe there are idlers in the world, in our own country. They are not what matter. What matters is the average man, the ordinary man. They are a multitude so far as our country is concerned. Are they given to activity? Do they look for activity? What is their evaluation, objective about doing work? Suppose a man is rich and resourceful, he doesn't need any employment. Even then, will he not require to be active? Olympics and other games, what an extent of practice these people are doing before appearing there and winning a gold medal or a silver medal. Don't tell me the story of idleness at all. At all. To be idle is a crime. It is anti-natural, not even unnatural. Anti-natural. Utsideyurime lokaha. The whole world will perish if people resort to inactivity, he says. Na kuryam karma chedaham. I am born a kshatriya, Arjuna. You are also a kshatriya. What is the role and duty of a kshatriya? First of all, to learn archery, the skill of archery, equip oneself sufficiently well to meet anybody at any time alone with the might of the body and the weaponry. This is what a kshatriya is. Whenever there is a disorder, a misbehavior or an ill treatment, the kshatriya cannot keep quiet. He should go there, face it squarely. If the kshatriya doesn't do it, what is the meaning? Anybody can do anything if there is nobody to question. How many people will turn thieves, robbers, criminals? Unless the law enforcement machinery is clearly active and vibrant, which means the people given to law, they must be active. Kshatriyas were such a community. Even today, suppose there is a recruitment for the army. An advertisement appears giving details of the recruitment. Suppose nobody turns up, what will happen? So everybody has got an inborn nature. And one facet of the nature is chivalry. The kshatriya is always supposed to be using his personal might and weaponry strength in order to see that lawless people, criminals, etc. are kept under check. He says, Utsideyurime lokaha na kuryam karma chedaham. I am born a kshatriya, Mathura. I grew in Vrindavan. But the growth in Vrindavan did not deny me my kshatriya spirit, valor and progress. Even there I grew up with valor, a spirit of adventure, etc. Later on, after killing my uncle, installing Ugrasena, his father, on the throne, my father picked me up, gave me the holy thread and sent me to Sandipani's school for learning. It was delayed. But I was active, always. Sankarasya cha kartasyam ubahanyam imah prajaha. Suppose I remain inactive, I don't know whether you will appreciate this properly. Sankarasya cha kartasyam. I will be the cause of admixture in the social structure. The people given to activity, given to valor, adventurous spirit, they must retain it, preserve it, and use it properly. Say the so-called Brahmins, they are right from the birth. They are given to what? Religious worship, religious austerity, religious contemplation, etc. They are not given to chivalry. They are not supposed to use their hands and leg for fighting and the like. When it comes to kshatriya, it is not so. Right from the beginning he is taught archery. Why is he learning archery? Not to use it. So he has to be up and active. Now I am a kshatriya, you are a kshatriya, and all the people who have assembled in the battlefield are kshatriyas. Fighters are facing each other. There is no civilian here. And every fighter has come with a view to kill his opponent or get killed by him. Nobody wants to return from the battlefield without having won it. In such a place, suppose you take to inactivity and then say escape, what will be the colossal disorder that will follow? He uses a word Sangraha. Arjuna used it, Varna Sangraha. This Sangraha is not Jati Sangraha. Here the Sangraha is the mixture of Jnana and Karma. One is the Jnana Nishtha, the Sankhya Nishtha, resorting to contemplation, intense reflection and introspection, and then meditation. That is also an activity. Another is using the physical might, including archery, and then conduct yourself well so that your presence will be felt by all the others. Sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyam imah prajaha. What will be the ultimate result? All people will get destroyed. Suppose lawlessness triumphs, lawlessness spreads in the society. Can you imagine what will happen? There was a time, a few years back in our Punjab, how many murders were taking place? Only by a few people who were unlawful. It was very difficult for the government to deal with it because the emotions of the community are very strong. Ultimately, what happened? Force had to be used. A very good policeman came and he decided to take action, and he took. The government supported him by all ways, and then everything was crushed. Even now, it is the fear of law that keeps the people under check. The fear of law will be there only when the law enforcement people act confidently, righteously, boldly and tenaciously. I, representing the kshatriya group, I cannot afford to be inactive. My inactivity will be a great license and instigation for others to be lawless. Sangrahasya cha kartasya. In the name of spiritual wisdom, nobody should become inactive. I am a spiritualist. Don't tell me anything. I will only contemplate and meditate throughout the day. Whenever you see something like that, this is absolutely wrong. He can study. He can read, write, listen to lectures, contemplate also, meditate also. But it cannot be that I close my eyes and sit for hours and hours together. For what purpose? Even your sleep is only for half the duration of the wakefulness. And meditation can be for several hours in a day. For what purpose? Even now there are people who think that spirituality means meditation. What are you going to get? Just imagine. Sage Vasishtha is the greatest knower that we can think of. He was the preceptor of the Ikshvaku dynasty for a long time. He was a married man. It was he who instructed spiritual wisdom to Sri Rama when he was only 16 years old. The last word in the spiritual scriptures is Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana, which Valmiki wrote on the 18-day dialogue. All the dialogue is contained in Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana in 32,000 Sanskrit verses. Imagine the activity of Sage Vasishtha. And now think of the activity Sage Valmiki put in order to record that. We have it as a treasure with us. If the book is there, there was an author also. And that author is our predecessor, our ancestor. What about Sangraha? He was very young. At a young age, I cannot exactly say how old he was. Maybe 12 years or 13 years old. He walked all the way from the Purna river in Kerala to Narmada river in Gujarat to find Govindapada. He saw him. In reality, he discovered his father whom he had lost. And Govindapada found in him a beloved and trustworthy son. They met. Govindapada passed on to him the Brahma Vidya in all its power, majesty and magnificence. And after Shankara got illumined, his teacher told him, all the Vedantic books almost eaten by white ants. Nobody is there to read it, understand it, explain it. My dear son, Buddhism has completely taken over India because Buddha was a king, so his followers were many. For 1300 years, Buddhism was triumphant in this land. 1300 years. Shankara was born 1200 years back. Can you do something for reviving this great culture and knowledge that we have? I think you have the power and the audacity to do it. Shankara was inspired. His guru's word was his command and persuasion. He started running, walking up and down the country, meeting all the scholars in different places. Everywhere he was explaining and expounding Brahma Vidya, and all the opponents completely accepted finally what he said. There was a great ritualist called Mandara Mishra by name. He was a great man, but propounding ritualism, ceremonial life, not the knowledge life, contemplation life, Brahma Vidya or Brahmajnana. They started arguing. Who was the umpire? Mandara Mishra's wife, who naturally represented 50% of Mandara Mishra as a housewife. She had to look after the kitchen, food, etc. for the husband and Shankaracharya, so she was very busy. So she put a garland on both of their neck. I won't be always here, but you continue to argue. And whose garland starts withering, that person is defeated. That I will understand. So she came, a few days passed. One day she found the garland which her husband was carrying was withering. It was very clear he was defeated. Then she intruded to say, I have some questions. My husband is only half, I represent his another half. Shankara said, I will take some time to answer you. And he went away, came back. And you know what happened? Mandara Mishra became a disciple of Shankara, became a sannyasi. And his wife also followed them as a disciple. This is the country that we are. Understand? How sincere is the debate, discussion, and how loyal and faithful the participants were, and how great the mistress of the house also. This Shankara's life I was trying to tell you because even in the name of spirituality, spiritual wisdom and mastery, was he keeping quiet? No. It was during the travels that he was meeting all the scholars, holding debate with them, discussion with them. At the same time, he was writing a commentary for the 11 Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, and Brahma Sutras. He composed a number of Prakarana Granthas also and poems. All this magnificent work he made, and he departed at the age of 32. Can you imagine? He did not travel by car, nor even by bullock cart. His was leg motor service, LMS. Shankara is another personality. Krishna already told Arjuna, Karmanyeva adhikaraste. Your competence at present is only for pursuing karmanishta, not exclusive jnananishta. The exclusive contemplation in life you will not be able to pursue because you are a kshatriya. You have the karmic brilliance in you, motivations in you, inspirations in you. Unless that is sublimated, you will not be able to sit exclusively for pursuing jnananishta. This statement Krishna made to Arjuna is applicable to many others or most people in this world. Karmani evate adhikara. Your competence is only to pursue karmanishta. Every time in the world, 99.99 recurring % of people are householders. They are not ascetics at all, householders. Even the so-called ascetics are born to householders. The ascetic fascination or tendency or attunement the children imbibed from the household couple. What do you think? And all these people are supposed to be immensely active active. Jayasi chet karmanaste tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. This is the first question he raised in the third chapter. If you think Jnananishta is loftier, why are you asking me to fight this bloodful war? None should think of abandoning activity in the name of spiritual wisdom or pursuit. People with the kshatriya spirit, the valorous kshatriyas, they are needed for ensuring the cohesion and welfare of the society. The society should be under check and balance. This checking and balancing are ensured only by the chivalrous kshatriya. They alone know the offense and defense. Just like the military people are given hardcore training, the kshatriyas also are given hardcore training. After the Pandavas were taught, not Pandavas alone, Pandavas and Duryodhanas also were taught. Dronacharya decided to exhibit their learning, and he made huge arrangements for it. Before that, one day, Dronacharya fixed a target on top of a tree. A bird was kept there. And then he asked one after the other, Yudhishthira and the others, shoot, look at it. All others said, what are you seeing? I am seeing the branch of the tree with a few leaves and also the bird. Finally, when it came to Arjuna, he asked him, what are you seeing? I am seeing the one eye of the bird alone. What do you understand from this? That is why Arjuna was the illustrious archer. See, it is a training that has to be given. The skill has to be there. Otherwise, one man with one bow and arrow, how can he face so many? So, kshatriyas are very important. They alone will be able to use their body in offense as well as defense when required. Such kshatriyas, after having come to the battlefield, if they decided to recede from the battlefield saying that it is sinful, it is improper, etc., what would be the chaos it will create? Is it not like police refusing to come to the place of dispute or the place of misbehavior? If they refuse to administer law, sternly arrest people, beat them if necessary, lathi charge, etc., how do you expect the society to behave well? Suppose war is avoided, will killing stop? If in war, huge en masse people die, do you know what is the consequence? One consequence is that in many families there will be no men. Because so many men die in a battle, women proportionately will not be able to get a husband for each. In our country, so many kingdoms were there. At the time of independence, I understand, if my information is correct, we had 600 kingdoms at the time of independence. So what should be the number of kingdoms when British East India Company came here? And most of these kings of kingdoms, they used to fight between themselves to become the emperor. That was an aspiration of a king which was adored by the people then. In all the wars, men will die, and in hundreds and thousands. Naturally, women will not have enough men to marry. So a special custom, rule and law was made. Whenever a kshatriya woman seeks the hand of a kshatriya, he cannot refuse. That is why they had polygamy. It was a necessity. Whenever mass death takes place, especially, it will be only of men, you will find women become lordless. Lordless. It is something very easy for you to understand. Society will be left in the hands of the wicked. Suppose we don't have enough of police force, then also lawlessness will continue. If dharmic protest and control are not there, then ordinary people themselves will have to take cudgels. Sometimes it happens. And what will be? It can lead up to a civil war situation. Krishna is saying, Sangrasya chakarta asyam. This is the Sangrah he means by. It can also ultimately mean Varna Sankara. Perhaps in Iraq they had civil war. When the civil war comes to be, can you imagine the people, number of people who will die? There also it will be men who will be dying, mostly. In a democratic setup, there is no place for bodily and weapon fight among the people. We are a democratic country. And whatever we do, we don't have the authority or freedom to use weapons or to use even your own hands. I understand in karate, when people are sufficiently educated and they start wearing this belt and that belt, they have to go and get registered. Their arms have to be registered as weapons in the police station. We can have difference in ideology, but that should not lead to physical conflict. We have to face the tongue with another tongue. We have to face the mind with the mind, intelligence with the intelligence. Nothing should be done in violation of this kind of a propriety. All these things are there. Krishna says, if I start flouting the law of activity, particularly as a kshatriya, it will lead to a number of admixtures and the society will lose its balance, cohesion and harmony. Therefore, what should be done? This is a verse which is very, very important. You need not read all the others and remember, but at least remember this. Sakta karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha chikirshur loka sangraham. This one verse from the 3rd chapter is sufficient for you to form your own ideal and consistent pursuit of it. Saktaha.
Saktaha.
I will not tell you that you chant. It is our system. So when I say after all this Sakta, automatically you should have the attention, sensitiveness to know. It is for you to repeat. Sakta.
Saktaha.
Karmanya vidvamso.
Karmanya vidvamso.
Karmani.
Karmani.
Avidvamso.
Avidvamso.
Karmanya vidvamso.
Karmanya vidvamso.
Saktah karmanya vidvamso.
Saktah karmanya vidvamso.
Yatha kurvanti bharata.
Yatha kurvanti bharata.
Yatha kurvanti bharata.
Yatha kurvanti bharata.
Kuryat.
Kuryat.
Vidwan.
vidvan
tatha asaktaha. Will you make it? Kuryad vidvams tatha asaktaha.
Kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha.
Kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha.
Kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha.
Chikirshuhu
Chikirshuhu
Loka Sangraham.
Loka Sangraham.
Chikirshur Loka Sangraham.
Chikirshur Loka Sangraham.
Sakta karmanya vidvamso.
Sakta karmanya vidvamso.
Yatha kurvanti bharata.
Yatha kurvanti bharata.
Kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha.
Kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha.
Chikirshur Loka Sangraham.
Chikirshur Loka Sangraham.
What a wonderful statement is this. He has presented a number of arguments, cited himself as an example, and then he says, listen Arjuna, and also all who are like Arjuna. Saktaha karmani avidvamsaha yatha kurvanti. Avidvamsaha. Vidwan means enlightened, erudite, scholarly. Avidwan means the opposite, the ignorant. Vidvamsaha means bahuvachana, plural number. Avidvamsaha, people who do not have the right knowledge. Karmani saktaha, they have a delusional clinging about activity. So with a delusional clinging in activity, they work. Yatha kurvanti. So because of their delusional clinging, they are given too much to activity. The clinging is so much that they are not able to do the work properly. It creates imbalance, agitation, impatience, etc. Only when the mind is relaxed and free, you will be able to work well. Narrow-mindedness should go, selfishness should vanish, and you should have a broader, deeper, and a wider perspective. If you think of yourself and the family, it will be a very small circle. If you can think of the social segment, the circle will be bigger. If you can think of the nation, I am a national, whatever I do is for the nation. If you look after your family well, government has no responsibility. Why should we look after our family? Because we are a member of the society, and the society constitutes the nation and also the globe. So I am a part of the nation, however small it may be. So the points of view should be broader and wider. But here it is not so. They are all ignorant people. Maximum they can think of their family, that's all. I and my family. I and my family. Arey, you are, how many are you? Look at the whole world, the whole country. Numerous families are there, and you have no consideration for them. So the mind becomes constricted. The performance also becomes constricted. So the normally deluded people, with how much of attachment, delusional clinging they work. Exactly in the same manner, the man of knowledge should also exert. I don't know whether you understand what I say, what Krishna says. The unenlightened people, ignorant people, deluded people, with what extent of clinging they work. Externally, in the same manner, the enlightened man also should work. He is enlightened. Therefore, he escapes activity. that message should never go. In spite of his enlightenment, he must remain active, on a par with the ignorant man. But how? Without the delusional clinging. His activity must be free of delusional clinging. His mind should be free, his mind should be broad, his mind should be very lofty, comprehend the entire world, the entire nation. Chigirshu Loka Sangraham. Every little work that he does, he will have Loka Sangraha as the ideal. What is Loka Sangraha? Whatever I do is part of the world welfare. See, every individual contributes his measure to the GDP of the country and the world. Everyone. Even our housewives are contributing. Everyone is contributing to the pool of the nation and pool of the globe. That idea you must have, Loka Sangraham. My work, though I am a member of the family, is not merely for my family. My family is a segment. My family is a sector. It's a part of the nation. So the contribution is to the nation. You have a national passport. You don't have a family passport. You don't have a state passport. Only a national passport. So any child born in any family, anywhere in the country, becomes a national. That national dimension should be reflected in his mind, thoughts, aspirations, potentials, possibilities, everything. Chigirshuhu Loka Sangraham, aspiring to serve the world, aspiring to contribute to the cohesion and prosperity of the world, every item of work you should do. So externally, is it so much? When I came here years back, 57 years back on the slope of the Pandavagiri hill, I used to do a lot of physical work along with the workers. So some villagers made a remark, why is this Swami doing work? He is not married and he doesn't have a child. Why should he work? This is what a householder will say. They will not be able to get out of the walls of the family. That is their problem. So, Karma Yoga tells you that your karma should be fired by the spirit of yoga. That yogic orientation should be there. The yogic orientation is that you are not the body, you are the soul. As the soul, you are universal. So in your thoughts, in your imaginations, in your insights, in your evaluations, comprehension, that universal dimension should be there, expansion. No delusional clinging. Just like your child in your family, so many families have their children. When you have the first child, your heart should grow, become broader. Oh, I have a child now. I have become a parent. See, so many other parents are there, children also are there. That expansion in the mind should take place. So, Loka Sangraha should be our ideal. For sannyasa, what is it? It is Loka Sangraha. Whatever we think, whatever we do, our speeches, our writings, our activities, all of them. We have a set of buildings in the ashram. Every building was made, what for? Was there any family thought there? Oh, will this be suitable for devotees who come here? Will they feel all right? What should be the facilities to be set up for them? So they can stay well, they can come to the dining hall and have their food. They can have a place like Vijnana Bhavan where they can assemble and have satsang. Everything is designed to suit the visitors here. In a family, when you make a building, what will be your thought? So please get out of this rut of the family thinking. You are a family, everybody knows. But your family is a part of the social segment. And the social segment is a part of the nation. The nation is a part of the globe. So where do we stop? We will stop within the four walls of the family? Walls of the family? Saktaha karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata. In the world, in the society, ignorant people will be the maximum. Wise people will be few. Leaders are few. Followers are many. People don't have time to think about a society. They have to look after themselves. Where is the time for them to think? Only a few blessed people will be able to think in terms of society, societal welfare, contributions and the like. So he says, ordinary people in which manner they work, involved in work. In the same manner, the knowledgeable man also should be involved in work. But two factors are there. He should not have the delusional clinging to what he does. And he must also foster world welfare, prosperity and welfare of the world as a whole. Sakta karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryat vidvams tatha saktaha chikirshuhu loka sangraham. Recite this verse once again. Sakta karmanya vidvamso
Sakta karmanya vidvamso
yatha kurvanti bharata
yatha kurvanti bharata
kuryat vidvams tatha saktaha
kuryat vidvams tatha saktaha
chikirshur loka sangraham.
chikirshur loka sangraham.
Mark this verse and make this your ideal. Whenever people see me work, they will find that I am extremely devoted to work. Even after retirement, don't keep quiet. You may not have your professional life, but have a social life. Whatever little you can. One person wrote to me, Swamiji, I don't know much about Bhagavad Gita, but even then I conduct some Bhagavad Gita classes for children and sometimes for elders also. He is not a qualified man for giving Gita lectures and lessons, but still he does. Whatever you are capable of doing, you do. It's a contribution to the society. None of us is going to live long. Maybe we will live for 8 or 9 decades. But the society continues. So whatever little you can contribute to the welfare of the society, you must. And this social welfare should be a part of the householder mind, of the celibate mind also. We are a member of the society. We are a national. The feeling of nationalism, I always say, we have to nationalize the minds of our people. So many strikes are sometimes declared. Now the courts have started taking notice of it. In the name of strike, you cannot disturb the freedom and safety of the public. You declare a strike and then say nobody should travel on the road. Is it right? Why are we living and why are we even striking? A proper demand made by a certain number of people, representative, it should be heard, it should be heeded by the government. The government does not heed. That is why the people decide to do something in the way of demonstration and damage so that the government will be forced to look into. It's a very negative approach. Why have we declared democracy? In democracy, everyone has got the right to right to support or protest. Whenever the protest is found, instantly the government should go and find out why are they protesting, what is the ground for it, is it something to be considered and heeded. This sensitive approach should be there. Because it is not there, they create damage. But that is not the way. National property is very hard to make. With what extent of sacrifice we have made national property. And that should not be damaged at all in the name of a strike. It becomes additional burden. And ultimately the money has to come from the people's earnings. So can we not demonstrate in a manner where no national property destruction ever takes place? It is enough if you demonstrate in a large number, putting some placards and making slogans, etc. In a very lawful manner you can demonstrate. And government should pay heed to it very well. You know, in my life some years back, I had to collective demonstrations. All the demonstrations were very peaceful and government was happy. They knew that we will not. I used to openly say, my dear policemen, keep your lathi under your armpit. None of us is going to behave unlawfully. The best that you can do is go in our front, remove the pebbles and thorns from our path and make our march proper and safe. Don't expect any harm from us. We have never harmed, and government has great regard for our demonstrations. Whatever we took up, everything we have won. This is a way of behavior. After all, we are a democratic country. The voice of the people ultimately is going to be the determining factor in everything. Knowing that, why do you want to be criminal in your demonstrations? I think these are very important points people should remember. I always charge the rulers and the others. No message is being given about our independence. What is our country? How did we become independent? How to preserve our independence? How to grow democratically? What are democratic values? Where is the place for law and order? There should be a call for patriotism, for nationalism, making sacrifices for the nation, paying taxes regularly, encouraging the government, helping them. No such teaching is there, I don't know. To the extent I know, such teachings are not there. Our children should be taught well. What is a country, what is a citizenship, what is meant by citizen, passport, etc. Newer and newer generations will be getting born. So these teachings will have to be continued, there will be no stop. No, it is non-stop teaching. Sakta karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryat vidvams tatha saktaha chikirshu Loka Sangraham. Okay, we shall stop. Samvedyavarjitamanuttamamehgamadyam Samvidpadam vikaranam kalayanmatman hridyevatishta kalanarahita kriyam tu kurvan agartrapadamethya shamodita shri kurvan agartrapadamethya shamodita shri. Harihi, Harihi, Harihi. We shall have the conclusional Omkara. Take your pose for it. Oh. Tatsat. Jai Guru.